Okay, let's call this regular meeting of the Yuba City City Council to order on November 2nd, 2021. The governor has declared a state of emergency to exist in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19. While the governor recently issued Executive Orders N-07-21, which lifted certain orders and associated restrictions, there are still public health directives in place. Executive Order N-08-21 also allows local legislative bodies to continue to hold meetings via conference calls while still meeting state transparency requirements. The public's health and well-being are the top priority for the city of Yuba City, and you're urged to take all appropriate health and safety precautions. The meeting's utilizing the Zoom application for this live broadcast. For this meeting, we'll be using the questions and answers functionality of the tool in order to accommodate public comment. On your device, the question and answer section of the app is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For those that would like to comment on this meeting, please enter your comment into the question and answers portion of the app. Be sure to state the item you will be commenting on. During the public comment of each item, staff will read aloud the comments provided by the public for all to hear for that specific item. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Boomgarden.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Espindola.
Here.
Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Kirchner.
Here. City Council will be moving into closed session. I would like to invite our esteemed city attorney to please read the closed session items for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items this evening for closed session. Item A is starts public services and facilities pursuant to Government Code Section 54957A, consultation with city attorney and/or Yuba City Fire Chief, Police Chief, Director of Public Works, IT Manager, and City Manager. The second item for closed session is item B, conference with real property negotiators for Government Code Section 54956.8. The property is a Union Pacific right-of-way located throughout the Yuba City, as described more fully in the agenda. The negotiator is Diana Langley, Public Works Director, or Dave Vaughn, City Manager. The negotiating parties are Union Pacific Railroad, and under negotiation are the price and terms of payment. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Any comments from the public? Not seeing anybody here. How about you, Sierra? Anybody online?
No public comment.
All right, we will go ahead and remove ourselves to closed session. All right. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Yuba City City Council, November 2nd, 2021. The virtual information is as follows. The governor has declared a state of emergency to exist in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, while the governor recently issued Executive Order N-07-21, which lifted certain orders and associated restrictions. There are still health directives in place. Executive Order N-08-21 also allows local legislative bodies to continue to hold meetings via conference calls while still meeting state transparency requirements. The public's health and well-being are a top priority for the city of Yuba City, and you are urged to take all appropriate health and safety precautions. How can you participate in this meeting? Meeting is utilizing the Zoom application for the live broadcast. For this meeting, we will be using the questions and answers functionality of this tool in order to accommodate public comment. On your device, the question and answer section of the app is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For those that would like to comment during this meeting, please enter your comment into the question and answers portion of the app, and be sure to state the item you will be commenting on. During the public comment of each item, staff will read aloud the comments provided by the public for all to hear for that specific item. Be timely with your questions, as once the public hearing is closed or the item has been discussed by the council and voted on, no more comments will be accepted for that item. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Boomgarden.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Espindola.
Here.
Councilmember Harris. Here. Councilmember Kirchner.
Here. All right, this evening we are joined by Joginder Singh, who will lead us in the invocation inspiration. So we'll stand for that. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. That will be led by Commander Runyon.
ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਏਕ ਓਂਕਾਰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਇ। ਵਾਹ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਦਸਵੀਂ। प्रथम भगवती सिमर के गुरु नानक ली ध्याय फिर अंगद गुरु तेमरदास रामदास सहाय। ਅਰਜਨ ਹਰ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨੋ ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰ ਰਾਏ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਧਿਆਈਐ ਜਿਠੇ ਸਭ ਤੁਖ ਜਾਏ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸਿਮਰਿਐ ਘਰ ਨੋ ਨਿਤ ਆਵੇਂ ਧਾਇ ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਹ ਦਸਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋਏ ਸਹਾਇ ਦਸਾਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਵੱਲ ਧਿਆਨ ਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਪੰਜਾਂ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਚੌਹਾਂ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਚਾਲੀਆਂ ਮੁਕਤੀਆਂ ਹੱਟੀਆਂ ਜਪੀਆਂ ਤਪੀਆਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਿਆ ਵੰਡ ਛਕੀਆਂ ਦੇਗ ਚਲਾਈ ਤੇਗ ਵਾਹੀ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਅਣਡਿਠ ਕੀਤਾ ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਸਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਕਮਾਈ ਦਾ ਧੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਸਿੰਘਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਧਰਮ ਹੈ ਸੀਜ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਬੰਦ ਬੰਦ ਕਟਾਏ ਖੋਪਰੀਆਂ ਲੁਹਾਈਆਂ ਚਰਖੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਚੜੇ ਤਨ ਆਰਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਚਿਰਾਏ ਗਏ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਲਈ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਧਰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਰਿਆ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਸਵਾਸਾ ਸੰਗ ਨਿਭਾਈ ਤਿਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਕਮਾਈ ਦਾ ਧੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਪੰਜਾਂ ਤਖਤਾਂ ਸਰਬਤ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਧੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਪ੍ਰਥਮੇ ਸਰਬਤ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਸਰਬਤ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਕੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਚਿਤ ਆਵੇ ਚੇਤਾਵਨ ਕਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਸਰਬ ਸੁਖ ਹੋਏ। ਜਹਾਂ ਜਹਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤਹਾਂ ਤਹਾਂ ਰਚਿਆ ਰਿਆਇਤ ਦੇਗ ਤੇਗ ਫਤਿਹ ਬਿਰਧ ਕੀ ਪੈਜ ਪੰਥ ਕੀ ਜੀ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਕੇ ਬੋਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾਨ ਕੇਸ਼ ਦਾਨ ਰਹਿਤ ਦਾਨ ਬਵੇਕ ਦਾਨ ਪੁਰਸ਼ਾ ਦਾਨ 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 ਨਾਮ ਦਾਨ श्री अमृतसर जी दर्शन स्नान चौकियाँ झंडे बुंगे जुग जुग अटल धर्म का जयकार खालसा संगत बोलो जी वाहिगुरू। सिखां दा मन नीवा मत उच्ची मत पत दे राखे हे कालपुरख अपने पंथ दे सदा शब्द तार जियो। श्री ननकाना साहिब ते गुरुद्वारियां गुरधामां जिन्हां तो पंथ नूं विछोड़िया गया पासे किरपा करनी तिन्हां दे खुले दर्शन दीदार सेवा संभाल दा दान ਆਪਣੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਪੰਥ ਨੂੰ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਿਤਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਤਾਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਿਓਟਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਓਟ ਗੁਰੂ ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀਓ। ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਕਮਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ ਯੂਬਾ ਸਿਟੀ ਕੌਂਸਲ ਦੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਰਬਤ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੁਭ ਕੰਮਕਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸਮਰਥਾ ਬਖਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ। ਪਰਸਪਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਭਾਵਨਾ ਇਤਫਾਕ ਨਾਮ ਪਿਆਰ ਏਕਤਾ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀਆਂ ਕਲਾ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ। ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਖ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ। ਅੰਗ ਸੰਗ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਸਾਏ ਹੋਣਾ ਹਰ ਪਵਰ ਰੱਛਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੁਖ ਹੋਵੇ ਨਾਮ ਚਿਤਾਵੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਪਾਣੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Thank you, sir. Commander Runyon.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine, as well. And thank you, sir, for your prayer with us today. City Attorney's report on closed session items. Mr. Chaffin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you, sir. Agenda modifications and approval of the agenda. We will be moving item number 1 under ceremonial presentations, the Rosser Family Proclamation, to our next meeting, which is November 16th. And if the council will join me up front, we will have our Veterans Proclamation. And I would invite Mr. Ray Upton and Mike Nichols. Ray is the Vice President. Mike Nichols is the Executive Director of the Yuba Sutter Veterans Stand Down. Please welcome Mike Nichols, President of the Yuba Sutter Stand Down, also United States Army Vietnam veteran, and Ryan Upton, Vice President of the Yuba Sutter Stand Down, also a veteran. The original stand down for homeless veterans was modeled after the stand down concept used during the Vietnam War to provide a safe retreat for units returning from combat operations. At secure base camp areas, troops were able to take care of their personal hygiene, get clean uniforms, enjoy warm meals, receive medical and dental care, mail and receive letters, and enjoy the camaraderie of friends in a safe environment. The Yuba Sutter Veterans Stand Down has been refined to meet the needs of our veterans, homeless or not, all active duty personnel, and their dependents. The Yuba Sutter Veterans Stand Down has served 823 veterans in the Yuba Sutter area, ages ranging from 19 to 93. The Yuba Sutter Veterans Stand Down has more than 2,800 volunteers from all walks of life that make the stand down happen. I would also like to have all veterans in the audience stand and come front and center for this Veterans Day proclamation. Do we have any other veterans? Okay. Veterans Day is November 11th. We do have one. Come on, Larry. Join us. Veterans Day is November 11th, the anniversary of the ending of World War I. By paying tribute to the heroes of that tragic struggle and by rededicating ourselves to the cause of peace. Throughout the history of our nation, our men and women in uniform have risked their lives to protect the interests of our country and defend our freedom. Yuba City citizens live in freedom because of the contributions and sacrifices made by those who have served and by those who continue to serve. Yuba City is honored to be the home of about 4,800 veterans. On this Veterans Day, Yuba City remembers that we are forever indebted to the service members who have fought and died in the defense of our country. Now, therefore, it be resolved, I, Mark Boomgarden, Mayor of the City of Yuba City, and on behalf of our entire City Council, do hereby recognize November 11th, 2021 as Veterans Day, and I call this observance to the attention of all Yuba City citizens. We have a proclamation. Would that be going to, we'll go here first, okay? And then who's going to speak?
You may not want me to speak. No, for those of you in the audience who are aware of the stand down or don't know what the stand down is, last 2 years due to the pandemic, it has been canceled. Effective January 21st and 22nd of January of 2022, we will be using the Veterans Hall here on Veterans Drive here off Civic Center to host a hearing, dental, and vision center for all veterans, active duty people, and it's all free for those people for those days. So they'll be able to get 2 pairs of glasses, get a hearing test, and light dental work could go up as far as, say, root canals being done for them. A little way to get back into the swing of things where we forgot our veterans the last couple of years, other than us being open at our office over there, helping them with housing, food, and anything else that goes on. We thank you very much. We thank the City Council and the people and the residents of the County of Sutter and the City of Yuba City for all their support and help they've given us through the past 21 years. Thank you.
We're going to get a photo up. Just want to say thank you. Been down to the stand down. The stuff that you provide to our veterans is top notch and is certainly something that's very much valued in the community. Okay, thank you. That's true. We do have the Veterans Parade in Marysville, November 11th, starting at 11 o'clock. 11:11.
And American Legion 807 is going to have a barbecue and flag retirement shortly after the parade.
Okay. Why don't you announce that so that people are
We're going to have a flag retirement ceremony and a barbecue out at the American Legion Post 807 on Feather River Boulevard shortly after the parade. It's open to the public.
Excellent. All right. Time for the picture.
I know, I was like.
All right, item number 3, public communication, appearance of interested citizens. You are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on items listed on the agenda when they are called. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be considered at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. Members of the public will have 3 minutes to speak. Written requests received at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will be allotted 5 minutes to comment. I do have a couple speaker cards, so I'll go through those and then invite others who want to speak to come to the podium. First up is Denise, hopefully I get this right, Mantelli, okay. Please.
I have a written statement. I have my statement written, so I'm going to read it. Good evening, hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Denise Mantelli. I'm a native Californian, living in Yuba City for 27 years and a property owner in Sutter County. I want to talk to you tonight about our town and the homeless situation, which I believe is getting worse by the day. I've been yelled at demanding money. I have seen men going to the bathroom on the street. I have seen a man on the lawn of Stabler Apartments with his pants pulled down. I have seen a man bathing on the lawn of the Bride Church, also with his pants down. I have seen men doing drugs on Calusa Highway smoking marijuana. The most concerning to me is I was shopping on Plymouth Street and a man screamed at me to give him money. He followed me demanding money. I was fearful and ran to my car. These people are not our local families down on their luck. I want you to know I am not without sympathy for them. There is garbage everywhere now on our streets. And I have 2 questions for you, my local government. Where are the people coming from? There seems to be more every week. And number 2, what is being done to fix the problem and help the people? The examples I've stated are only from my driving in town, running my daily errands. Thank you.
Before I call up the next speaker, Commander Runyon, would you have an opportunity maybe to talk a little bit about the police department's current efforts in regard to homeless? And then I'm going to pass that off to also to the city manager to talk about homeless court and some of the efforts that the county and the city of Yuba City are undertaking to try to address this continuing problem. Please.
Good evening. So, ma'am, your comments are well recognized. We know there's a problem. It's quite honestly a national problem. We've been dealing with it for several years. The police department has 1 homeless liaison officer, and we have a second one that we are looking to fill here this year. And they've been involved with a lot of the local organizations, the county health department, mental health department, taking a collaborative effort at trying to address some of these issues. Where they're coming from, that's it's a tough question because they come from all over, to be honest. We are amazed every day when we find someone new, and our homeless officer, he is getting to know a lot of these people very well, and he'll just find new ones that came in from somewhere else. We don't know why. We're doing everything we can. Not only is it just our homeless officers that are doing that, the patrol officers are going out daily, almost every morning, and moving these people along from businesses, but we're also dealing with a lot of legal issues and enforcing things. So it's a very challenging time, but we are putting a lot of efforts towards fixing this problem.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in coordination with the efforts and collaboration with what not only our police department's doing, but also our sheriff's office, who also have a homeless liaison, we are also partnering with the county to create a avenue for some sort of disciplinary structure, and they call it loosely now homeless court, but we are working with the Sutter County DA as well as the courts to try and implement something in early 2022 to help hold these people accountable for those actions that you just shared that, as Commander Runyon pointed out, is becoming too far a normal behavior. And so we're trying to do some multiple things. As Commander Runyon pointed out, there are some real legal restrictions. And so we're trying to put measures in place to help, again, make those folks accountable. And we hope to bring that early in 2022 to our citizenry.
I would follow up to that and just say, and Commander Runyon mentioned it, and so did the city manager, that it's a complex issue that sometimes I feel as if the city has its hands tied in regards to being able to address because of some federal and state regulations that frankly do not support making sure that the behaviors, many of which you described in your speech, that we can deal with those. We think that this homeless court is a opportunity to take a little bit different path, but still improve some behavior modifications and hopefully detour, if not stop, some of those things that you mentioned. As we get this unrolled, we'll see how it works, but I have a lot of optimism because this is a joint operation between the city and the county, and the synergies of putting the two organizations together, along with other homeless groups in the community. We're trying our best. It's not something that we don't see. I've witnessed the same exact things you see, which is disgusting to me, and certainly something that we don't want to allow to continue in our community. So we do have a lot of energy. It's a lot of priority for the city of Yuba City and the Yuba City Police Department. Though it may not look like, it does put a lot of priority and a lot of effort into trying to address the situation. You're welcome. All right. The next speaker card is from Heather Essman. And so Heather, please to the podium.
Oh, good evening, Council. Heather Essman again. Hi. So hoping at some point we might be able to see our city attorney actually live again. But I came up here to speak today because I purchased a new vehicle. Well, not new, but it's a plug-in hybrid. And at the beginning, you can punch in where the charging stations were, put in Yuba City, nothing. So I had to go online to see if there were any charging stations. And basically, I saw there were 4 charging stations. There's 2 at Target and 2 at PetSmart. The Tesla chargers are only good for Teslas. So that's the current state of things. I just wanted to make sure that the council knows that there's a law that was passed last month, or I guess September now, that all new passenger trucks and cars sold in California need to be zero-emission vehicles by 2035. I also gave her a copy, I don't know if that showed up over there, of something I found online, but it was from the salesperson that does one of the vehicles, I think this part's PetSmart area. But the state has set a goal of having 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles within that time frame by 2035. And if you don't know, Audi actually plans to have at least 20 models by 2025. So Audi is comparable to a Tesla on, as far as costs are concerned. And so they're probably trying to get into that market. GMC also said that they could probably catch Tesla in EV sales by 2025. The California Energy Commission also says that California needs 1.2 million chargers. Currently, we have in the entire state of California only 70,000. So you can kind of get where I'm going here. We need to not be the last at the end. Right now, there's still incentives. There's still, if you can still find them if you go look for them. Imagine if we get to that point that, and I don't know if you want to pass that around, but we get to the point where half the vehicles in the state have some electric vehicle capability, and we have 4 charging stations. Are we all going to have just used vehicles? We need to not wait until there's no more incentive to try and see if we can't communicate through the city, through the council, to make an effort to say, we need to start ramping this up a little bit faster. I've been to all these meetings, I haven't seen anything. Now, there may be something behind the works, I don't know. But up to now, we haven't seen very much. So I just wanted to say, we need them at hotels, we need them at the retail stores, we need them at grocery stores, and just, we don't want to end up being another Detroit or a coal mining town where there's kind of a blight situation, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, thank you.
I will say that I know that I have received emails from companies that are interested in helping with the electronic vehicle charging. I've passed those to the city manager. I don't know the current status of those, but we can get with you and give you an update on that stuff. So yes, we're aware. And yes, we are seeking alternative means of getting those things installed. I don't know if there's any requirements in any of the codes yet, Ben, but maybe you, if you are aware, perhaps you could shed some light for the rest of us as well.
So good evening. Related to electric vehicles, there's definitely, it's being noticed. But right now what's happened is it's private development driven, and there's incentives through the Air Quality Board, FRACMAT. Once in a while these come out where a private property owner, business, they can look for those incentives and work through that, like Target, New Earth, or where they're at. But the only requirement I'm aware of right now is with a gas station, they have to designate a number of vehicles when they're building it for future electric vehicles. And so, there has been some interesting gas stations coming in, and that's been a real conversation with staff that, hey, all these new rules are coming out. What is the plan? And they're saying the trend is happening sooner, and they think it's moving a lot faster than it is. And so they're definitely, with the new layout for these gas stations, they're making sure that they're looking that the infrastructure can be converted when it comes.
Thank you. Did you have anything to add? Okay. All right. Thank you, Heather. Mr. Burns.
Good evening. My name's Thomas Burns. I want to talk a little bit about the stealing of the mail in Yuba City, okay? Now, I've had my mailbox broken into at my office and went through huge bank fraud issues, okay? Had my checkbook stolen out of my car. I mean, it's rampant thievery in this town. And then just this evening, okay, my bank called me. I mailed a check to Giwiki Ford, okay, and that check was somehow received or stolen, captured. I don't know how in the world it happened, but there was someone in the bank trying to cash it. They washed out their name. They wrote down typed out their own name. This is a business check with a computer, you know. And when I talk to my bank manager, even to get into my bank, I have to ring the doorbell now, okay? And then they have to let me in. Now, you might think that's just for me, but it's for everybody. Okay. So she says, the bank manager, that the fraud is over the top, but the stealing of the mail, and maybe you guys can find somebody to deal with that issue. If it's a federal crime, maybe a postmaster or something, but something needs to be done. I mean, I'm 3 times this year I had to change my bank account. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the homeless situation. I see it when you go to work at 4 in the morning. You know, it's like running through a video game. You know, people popping up everywhere. You know, running across the street, you name it. But I wanted to talk about Governor Newsom, okay? banning all small engines in California. I mean, he thinks he can do that. It's unbelievable. No lawnmowers, no gas blowers, whatever. I mean, the guy must be insane, okay? I'm gonna use my lawnmower until I'm dead, okay? I'm not gonna obey. So there you have it. And I think there's many Californians like that. It's totally ridiculous. That's my comment on that.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Anybody else in the audience? Hi, Sierra. Anybody online?
No public comment.
Okay. Next item we'll be discussing is the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that the council votes on the motion unless members of the city council, staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. Anything from the council on removing an item? Anything from the public? Anybody online?
No public comment.
All right, so I'll entertain some action on the consent calendar.
Through the mayor, move to approve consent calendar items 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Shaw, a second by Councilperson Espandola for approval of the consent calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent calendar has been unanimously approved. Business item, purchase of portable handheld radios and required accessories. This will be presented by our Fire Chief, Jesse Alexander.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here before you this evening to Sorry. Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm here before you this evening to request authorization to purchase 36 portable handheld radios and accessories at a cost of just under $214,000. Yuba City Fire Department has attempted twice to secure these portable radios in 2018 and 2020 through the Assistance to Firefighters grant. However, we were unsuccessful. Our current portable radios are at the end of their current useful life expectancy, and it's become increasingly challenging to repair our current radios due to their age, lack of supply parts, and radio manufacturers no longer supporting the product. No repairs can occur beyond cosmetics fixes. If the functionality of the radio is compromised in any manner, the radio must be removed from service and discarded. Handheld portable radios are an essential piece of equipment that all firefighters carry as soon as they exit their apparatus. These radios allow for communication between the incident commander, the dispatch center, and their fellow firefighters on all calls for service, including but not limited to structure fires, vegetation fires, vehicle accidents, EMS, and rescue calls. As a result, these radios are subject to extreme conditions such as high heat and cold and water. We are requesting a purchase of a total of 36 radios and accessories, which would include 32 APX 6000 radios and 4 APX 8000 radios, and I'll get into the difference of what those mean in just a second. In addition, we'll do looking at spare batteries for each radio, remote mics, programming services, and various charging stations. These would allow for 3 radios on every single primary piece of apparatus at our stations, 3 radios for a reserve apparatus at each station, a radio for all the command staff, and a radio for all the prevention staff. So getting back to the difference between those APX radios, the APX 6000 radios are a single band radio that supports VHF functions, and the VHF frequency is what fire uses. So this would allow us to communicate with all of our fellow fire agencies in the area. The APX 8000 are a dual band radio that operate on both VHF frequency, that fire, but also the UHF frequency, which was primarily law. Those 4 radios would be for command staff and would allow our chief officers to better coordinate unified command with law enforcement on such things as active shooter situations, water rescue, apartment complex fires, and event planning. All of these radios that I've mentioned are P25 compliant and meet or exceed P68 ratings, which define water and dust resistance. Some of the features on these radios are a firefighter down activation capabilities. The newer radios will have mission-critical capabilities and will include rugged construction to operate in hotter environments, better water-resistant features, and operability channels for multiple frequencies, bands within one radio, and clearer transmission with improved clarity due to the fact, which I'm really excited about, that these radios will pair via Bluetooth with our SCBA voice amplifier. So as incident commanders, you're hearing those radio traffic on those incidents a lot clearer. These Motorola radios are industry standard, and Motorola is a radio and a brand that we've consistently used at Yuba City Fire. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I do have one. I know that there was a big effort on this interoperability between all the agencies, and there's this, I guess, a site that's set up still up in the Buttes. Is that still, or are these going to work with that? And is that still something that's staffed when needed, and et cetera?
We're using that for the Sikh Parade incident as for coming up, and so I would have to defer to our radio expert on this because there's a lot of nuances with radios, but I've been told that these will play into that, especially the 8,000 in regards to interoperability between the law and fire aspect.
So will that system be quote unquote exercised during this upcoming Sikh Parade then? So
that is affirmative. It is on our comms plan with radio frequencies for interoperability, correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Public? Anybody from the public? Yes, sir.
Hello, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Lawrence Mertz. Oh, it's going to be green. It was green. Green. Old, not colorblind. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak before you. I've been following this radio controversy thing quite a few years. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Lawrence Mertz. I'm speaking for the Taxpayers Association. We have been following this radio situation since since the Oroville Dam, when we had such a serious problem with the interoperability between the police radios and the fire station, fire people. I really do think that we should spend the money and get more of the 8,000 radios to allow more communication between the various services. 4 radios is not enough. They absolutely need good radios. Communications is critical when you have bona fide emergencies taking place. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mertz. Okay. Sounds like we are going to get a chance to test out the system come Sunday, so if we find that we have a need, I'm sure you'll bring it to us. I have full confidence. Okay. Hold on. From the online folks?
No public comment.
Okay. Back to the council for action.
Through the chair, I move that we adopt the resolution authorizing the sole source purchase of 36 portable handheld radios, requiring radio accessories from Motorola Solutions in the amount of $213,747.67, and authorize the finance director to use funds from ARPA account 2560-69201 in the amount of $213,747.67.
All right, I have a motion by Councilperson Espindola, second by Councilperson Harris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, item 7 passes unanimously. Item 8, permanent local housing allocation, Sutter County funding, presented by Mr. Moody, our Development Services Director.
All right, so good evening, the mayor. The item before you is in regards to amending the city's fiscal year budget to receive our PLHA allocation, which is part of a 5-year state allocation program for permanent local housing, and then also to look at potentially funding requests from Sutter County for the 2nd Street overnight camping location and for help with the Better Way Shelter budget. And so as I get into this a little bit of the background, a little over a year ago, staff came before the City Council to discuss a new funding source, permanent PLHA, Permanent Local Housing Allocation, which was initially set up as a 5-year program. It may continue after that, but with that, the state set up, it's a fee with recording documents where there's an amount captured, and through that, the city's going to receive $311,000, which has to be used for pre-development, development, acquisition, rehabilitation, preservation of affordable housing, and or supportive services and programs. And so we came before the council, and there was a discussion, and we basically suggested, or we committed to the state that we're going to fund it at 50% each for those services, and it could be changed over the years. And so right now, we're looking to receive that $311,000, put it in the city's coffers, and then set up an account number so then we could then spend it, because there's some restrictions on how the timeliness of when the money needs to be spent. And so with that, what we're looking at, Sutter County has had a request into the city to help partner with the 2nd Street overnight camping site, and then also help fund their Better Way Shelter. And so the 2nd Street overnight camping site, for those that are not familiar with it, it's I'll get into the pictures and the specifics on it, but it's a site where those experiencing homelessness can stay the night. And then with the Better Way Shelter, it's a temporary homeless shelter that provides temporary housing and case management services. And so specifically regarding the 2nd Street overnight camping site, the county put it together, and it was really a tool in our tool chest for when we put together a new municipal code about no camping on public property, that it's a location where then the homeless could then use to camp. And so that way it's an enforcement mechanism that when the police department is moving people along that shouldn't be camping in places on private property or areas that are not safe or on the roadway, that this is an option for them. And so the county, the cost to construct this was approximately $80,000 with ongoing costs. And so the county has asked for a partnership in the construction costs for a one-time allocation of $40,000. Here's a picture from their website. It's for those at the end of 2nd Street, on the west side of 2nd Street across from the levee. It's really just an open area that's secure, that has security, that has garbage and bathroom facilities and some rules regarding how it's when you're checked in and when you're checked out. The Better Way Shelter. The city has funded it two years in a row with CDBG funds, and with CDBG funds, there's been there's restrictions in there that's always complicated. You have to apply for the funding annually, and then there's caps on the CDBG funds as far as for public services. And so with this last year, the city was unable to fund them through the CDBG program because of the cap on the public service with priorities for the homeless liaison officer. And so with this, we're looking with the PLHA money as a potential option to fund that, and then not having to come back every year and go through this allocation process. And so what staff is proposing is a 3-year, looking at a 3-year commitment with ongoing budget approval. So every year will have to be approved through the budget cycle, but basically allocating $45,000 for that ongoing expense for 3 years. And my understanding is that the budget to Sutter County is approximately $750,000 a year to operate. And so it's located off of Live Oak Boulevard. To the northeast side there where the arrow's pointing, and there's some temporary homes and Hands of Hope and the county's offices. There's case management services where they then move them. They're looking to move them into permanent housing such as a Harmony Village or other housing that they could afford. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And we're looking to authorize the finance director to amend the budget to receive the $311,140 and then adopt a resolution of finding that a 3-year contribution of $45,000 to Sutter County Better Way will provide a public benefit and authorize directing the city manager to effectuate an annual contribution of $45,000 to Sutter County Better Way for a 3-year term and a one-time $40,000 contribution to Sutter County for the construction of the 2nd Street overnight camping, subject to approval of the annual city budget, providing for the same.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Questions from the council?
Through the mayor, what I'm curious, because I know Imelda's on Teams, right? I saw her earlier there, Imelda. I saw you have your camera on. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi.
Awesome. Hi. Hey, I was curious to know because, I mean, I know some of these numbers, but I don't think the public in general tend to know a lot of these things, that all the tremendous work under pretty much a lot of the work that you manage and lead there for the county. Since Better Way's been open, do you have a totality of how many folks have been in that program and how many have been housed? You know, because the time frame of that program is pretty short just compared to a lot of other projects that we work with, like the Salvation Army or others, you know? So do you mind bringing this, you know, if you have that around or on the top of your head?
Yeah. So since Better Way opened on September, and I'm sorry, Imelda Mendoza Flores with Sutter County Health and Human Services, Public Health. So since Better Way opened on September 19th, 2019, we've provided services to 215 individuals, and we have permanently housed 85, I believe, is up to just from Better Way. So these are individuals that have been sustainably housed. So they may receive a little bit of financial assistance for moving costs, for deposits, things like that. However, the goal is to, once they are moved into what we call permanently sustainable housing, is that they do not return back to homelessness. So we have a great track record on housing these individuals. Many do connect, as it was mentioned, many are housed over at, some have been housed over at Harmony Village. The vast majority have been housed throughout the region. This is client-driven, so they choose where they want to move to, and the vast majority want to stay local because this is where they are from. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. So then, do you work with the other project on 2nd Street overnight camping site? Is that connected to your department as well?
It is connected to the county. In terms of services, unfortunately, we do not provide direct on-site case management services. Our HEART team, which is the Homeless Engagement and Resolution team, which is the bi-county outreach team, they do go out and engage with those individuals that do take advantage of that camping 2nd Street campsite. Mm-hmm. We do have the security guard, which they'll reach out to me if a family with young children happen to come on site and request to spend the night there. They enter the campsite, or single individuals, that does come my way, and I immediately connect them with the appropriate resources. So if it's a family with young children, we definitely don't want homeless families anywhere in Sutter County. And so we immediately connect them to the CalWorks housing support program through the county. If it's a single individual, we connect them immediately to a shelter. Most often they are very vulnerable, and so they score very high on the vulnerability index assessment that is done through coordinated entry. So they typically are moved into Better Way fairly quickly.
Right. So one of the things that has been challenging, well, for society in general, but, you know, let's just focus with the homeless population here in our community. It's been really tough in 2020 to go out and do the outreach that initially started, I think, in 2019, right? There was a lot of plans set in play, but they weren't enacted because of 2020 of the pandemic. And at this point, I think we're starting to get some traction on those again, right? With the HEART team and all these other that are actually going out to different areas in community instead of where I think the design of services in the last year, 2020, were people coming into these coordinated entry locations, which we have two, and one in Yuba City and one in Marysville, both managed by Hands of Hope. Do you want to talk a little bit about that challenge as an agency that provides these services? Because I think that kind of contributes to some of the numbers of homelessness that is seemingly increasing, which is that we're working hard on that, but it's not noticeable right away.
Before we get into that, is this something that we should have her come and present to us? It doesn't seem to necessarily correlate with item 8. And it seems like she's got a lot of good information to share with us about a lot of different programs.
Yeah, I think it would be great that she come in and do a presentation, but it actually ties right into the Better Way because it's part of the HEART team is to try to get these.
This is a funding request.
Right, it is a funding request, but I think the community doesn't necessarily always know.
And I would like to give her the credit of coming in and actually making the presentation and showing us everything that's going on through her office rather than, you know, deal with it in this fashion. I think it would be more appropriate and respectful to have her here in person.
I would certainly support that. I just would like the answer of, has it been challenging in 2020 to go out and do the outreach work?
Yes. Yes. It's challenging and we've seen great success. It's challenging in the sense that we are wanting to make sure that we are connecting individuals to the appropriate shelter program, supporting the community, but also keeping staff safe from COVID, of course. And so within all of those barriers, we have successfully built the homeless engagement and resolution team. They've been actively working together very closely with law enforcement on the Yuba City side, the county side, on both sides of the river, and very effectively. So lots of communication has been happening with your homeless liaison. So they've been more active more now in this latter part of 2021, but yes, 2020, it was just very challenging to be able to be out in the community while keeping staff safe.
Thanks, Imelda. I really appreciate that input. Well, I guess we'll have you back sometime.
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, I think it would be great to have Imelda come and present to us about it sounds like she's got a lot of things going on under her supervision that we would probably benefit from knowing more about in a lot more depth. If that's okay with you, Imelda.
Of course.
Done.
Yeah. Any other questions from the council? Public? Online?
No public comment.
All right. I will entertain action from the council on item 8.
Okay, through the chair, I move that for saving some oxygen breath here, motion A and B on the agenda item 8.
Second.
All right, have a motion by Councilperson Espindola, second by the Vice Mayor on item 8. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, item 8 passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number 9, Economic Development Commission Dissolution, presented by Dave Vaughn, our City Manager. There he is.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, before you tonight is the first reading of the Economic Development Commission Dissolution. As a little history, established in 2008 as an advisory board for the city council, the city manager, and the city's economic development staff, this commission consisted of 7 commissioners and 1 alternate, and there are currently 4 vacant seats. The function and purpose of the Economic Development Commission has evolved over time. Most recently, the goal has been to create a climate for attracting new business. However, because the city no longer has an economic development staff, the Economic Development Commission has been challenged to maintain momentum and focus in recent years. Recommendation: in order to better align with the current council priorities, staff recommends dissolving the Economic Development Commission, introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yuba City to delete Chapter 12 Economic Development Commission of Title II of the Yuba City Municipal Code, and waive the first reading.
All right, questions from the council? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this item? Sierra, anybody online?
No public comment.
All right. Entertaining action from the city council on item 9.
Through the mayor, I move to introduce an ordinance of the City Council of City of Yuba City to delete Chapter 12 Economic Development Commission of Title II of the Yuba City Municipal Code and waive the first reading.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Shaw, second by Councilperson Kirchner on item 9. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item 9 passes unanimously. Future agenda items. This is the opportunity to discuss with the city manager about items that have come up in the meeting this evening that you would like to have brought back to the council at a later date. And I think the one is Imelda, Dave?
Yeah, presentation.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else from the council? Anything from the public? Anybody online?
No public comment.
All right, we'll move to reports and communications. First up is the city manager.
Through the mayor, I have nothing to report this evening.
All right. And we'll move to item 12. Councilmember Harris, you're first up today.
Not a whole lot myself. I did go to the cotton roster reception at Yuba City Arts in Marysville. If anyone hasn't heard, we're planning on they are planning on managing a project to build a 1 1/4 life-size statue, bronze statue of Mr. Rosser to be displayed on the park next to the Bacchae Temple in that little pizza slice of land there on the south side. So it's probably going to be a couple-year project. We're looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. Met with Conejo Brothers and some folks from Seroptimus discussing the messaging to the public regarding human trafficking, trying to get the word out so folks can be aware of what to look for in case they see signs of that happening. They can report it, and of course the intent being to rescue anybody who may be a victim of that and take some of these other folks to jail. Participating in No Shave November, that started yesterday, thanks to George, wherever he is. I'm already having to shave my neck, I think. It's driving me crazy, but it's a good thing. And had a discussion last night with both sheriffs and a representative from Marysville City Council and Yuba County and Sutter County regarding, it was all brought on by an email that Supervisor Bradford over in Yuba County received from a constituent living down in Plumas Lake who, like the rest of us, is fed up with being victimized unnecessarily by crime. His main thing was his daughter's truck was stolen right out of his driveway, and the list goes on. We all have stories. I know I do too. And so the intent was to rally up some folks, some members of the community, to brainstorm creative ideas, and hopefully with as little as impact on finances as possible. We decided to focus on prevention rather than enforcement. The law enforcement, of course, is doing everything they possibly can within the confines of the required to work in and what they have personnel-wise. So the group decided that we're going to focus on the neighborhood watch and things like that in order to prevent it from happening in the first place. So that's there's more to come on that, hopefully. So I was happy to be invited to that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilmember Espandola.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Councilman Harris. Light week as well. Participated in the Regional Water Agency Advocacy Program and the Federal Affairs Standing Committees. A lot of policy and funding. We'll see what happens here in the next several weeks. And then I have been reappointed to the Revenue Policy Committee with the League of California Cities. And I was also, my mailbox, Mr. Burns, you'd be happy to, not happy to hear, but to hear that, you know, my mailbox also, they broke into it, not just myself, but in the community and the whole kind of cul-de-sac area. And when I went to the Marysville post office, you know, to go pick up my mail, because that's where they said to go, I asked, you know, when is it going to get fixed? When should I get a new key? And the gal, you know, they look like they're short resources there too, and said, I don't know when it's going to get fixed, but it happened. She rambled off like 7 streets, areas, and it seems to me, I mean, I don't know what we can do as a city. If this is a crime, if I file a crime report incident, I don't know, but the neighborhood watches, I've been completely supportive of that kind of work, and maybe that's what we need to focus, because my neighbors come over to my house or see me and say, hey, what happened? What are we gonna do, you know? And so this has happened to me too. So I don't know if they have information on me and my bank or whatever, but I can totally understand you, and it's frustrating, and but the Postal Service was not helpful in the sense and that they knew when this was going to be fixed and how to report it as a crime. So I'm saying it now, so maybe I have to file something with our PD. I don't know. What would I have to do to get this figured out? There's...
Get promoted to commander and...
Theft expert. So I was explaining to Mr. Burns before the meeting started, mail theft has been in this area for years. It kind of goes and flows because certain groups will do it. They'll get a bunch of mailboxes like you're talking about.
Right.
And then we'll have a bunch of identity theft in the following months, and it's get distributed out to different people. So it's a difficult crime to solve, but we've had success in the past working with the postmasters, and it is a federal crime. So once we're able to identify some of these people, we can start cleaning it up, usually a little bit after the fact, but definitely report it, especially the mailbox. And if you know of any of your accounts that have been personally compromised as a result of that, report that as well.
Okay.
And it's something that, you know, again, it's catching them in the act is not usually how we're going to catch them. It's usually afterwards when they're taking that information and doing something with it.
Right, thank you. Yeah, because I picked up my mail on Saturday, so it happened probably Saturday or Halloween, Monday, because then they posted up there, and there it is, but thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Kirchner.
Thank you, Mayor. So I attended the downtown business walk along with the mayor and the vice mayor. It was a boots on the ground movement to go door to door to businesses to ask 3 questions. How did COVID affect them, positive or negative? How did the Bridge Street project affect them? And then any concerns or complaints with the idea that the city's going to take a look at this data and hopefully learn from it. It was interesting to get the take on the businesses that I attended, and in some cases, COVID was a good thing. So I attended that. Also, the last 2 weeks was Sutter Animal Services, where the only thing on the agenda was an avian issue, which I'll let the vice chair discuss. Lastly, attended the Business Retention Task Force, where we went over the reports that came back in, the surveys. Unfortunately, it was kind of light on the numbers. So tomorrow, I will be going or attending Downtown Business Association, going door to door, hopefully to get more of that information in. And what that looks like is a survey asking the businesses what the city's doing right, what the city's doing wrong, and how do we get out of their way. And I would like to thank the city in advance, the PD, the fire, and the public works for their work going forward this weekend, where we are once again going to host a lot of folks for our annual Sikh Parade.
And I would like to ask the public to be aware, if you're not normally in town on that day, to set aside a little bit more time on Sunday to get to where you're going and maybe go avoid the area altogether. And that's what I've got.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's amazing over the years when we watch this, how we go in cycles, light weeks, heavy weeks. I've had a couple of very busy weeks. And to Councilman Kirtner's point, you know, the city business walk, we did that. A lot of good feedback. And I want to say thanks to the council and our city team, because we did get feedback. And early on, we took extraordinary steps to help our businesses stay open if they chose to, and how to navigate COVID. And a lot of the businesses said they fared. And it was because of some of the things, such as the outdoor dining and things of that nature, that we allowed. So the common theme there, as far as the business walks, same thing we've been hearing: getting qualified people that want to work, and the homeless. So right back to where we started tonight. So it is a very prevalent issue, ma'am, that runs through everything that the city does. So I think it was productive. I'm looking forward to the end results and tying that back in with the business task force. And I think we're going to find a lot of similarities there to see what we can do to help. SASA, we're an oversight board, and some programs have been brought before us. You'll hear more about them in the days ahead and the months ahead to help educate people about the animals in our area and how do we help them and make sure they have a proper home and stuff. So you'll hear more about that probably January, February timeframe. And I think it'll be Mr. McIntyre and his team that will be bringing forward some information. So Yuba Sutter Transit Authority, very exciting times with that. As you know, we're building a state-of-the-art facility in the Linda area because the current facility, two things are happening. We've outgrown it, and Caltrans is going to take part of it for the expansion. With that, we're in the process right now that we are applying for a lot of grants that are coming through. We should know about one shortly, and we're seeking all available fund options that we can because it's a $40 million facility, and we need to get that going as soon as possible. With the land out there, the land has been cleared. There's one elderberry, is that? Yeah, elderberry tree that turns out it's actually one of the oldest and largest they have found in California. It's out on this lot that nobody was using. So they're going through the protection process with the arborist and all of that. But the rest of the land, the neighborhood has liked what's going on because it's getting cleaned up. The weeds are going down, the homeless have been moved out, and we're moving forward trying to get the grants. Moving on to the RWMA, Regional Waste Management Authority, effective yesterday, we are now operating under the amended JPA. What does that mean? That means that the RWMA is going to have more authority than it did before, which was absolutely none. It was more recommendations that we would send out, but it's also, as we move forward, there will be more responsibilities that will shift back to the municipalities, and our city manager is well aware of that. And we will begin the process, I believe, probably January, February timeframe to find the next CEO or manager of the RWMA, because we will begin that separation from the utilization of transit and RWMA being dual housed there. I participated in Cap to Cap this past week. As you know, that's usually an in-person trip back to DC to find out what we can do as far as lobbying for grants for our area, assistance for our area. It was all virtual this year. I sat on economic development and public safety. Some of the hot topics: economic development, homeless, and talking about how big of a problem it is. Talking about affordable housing as well. Talk about broadband, and we have already embarked as a city on that a few months ago with starting to put broadband throughout the city. Moving to public safety, one of the largest things that was on everyone's mind was the drones and how they affect fire and how they affect police services, and back to what all has happened up with the Dixie Fire and others, to where aircraft would have to be grounded because someone was flying a drone. And so that is definitely on top of mind awareness, and hopefully we'll see some things come in the future from that. One of the biggest issues is, I think, education and people not realizing that they really shouldn't be in these areas, but at the same time, we have those people that think they're the latest and greatest news source, and they want to get it out there, and it really impedes our public safety. So next Cap to Cap, that'll be a follow-up item, and I look forward to that. The Yuba Sutter Economic Development, we held an executive committee meeting. We have this Thursday, our upcoming regular meeting. Nothing new there at this point in time. I'm sure that we will be probably reviewing this week a little bit about what came out of the business walk, because it's all tied in. And I just want to close out and say a big thank you to our entire Yuba City team for the last storm that came through. I got to see firsthand how our men and women work together, from fire, police, Parks and Rec, Public Works. You guys did an awesome job keeping the city safe, getting the downed trees, the waters, and I just want to say a huge thank you, because it's incredible what these men and women do and how they work well together. So back to the radios and the need for those and how they work together communicating, they make it work. And I just want to say thank you. Awesome job.
Thank you. Yeah, I would also echo that. Historic storm. And once again, I think the city staff, city services stepped up to the plate. I know it wasn't always easy, and I know there were some historic flows and some historic things that were going on. Driving around town, you could tell that people were extremely busy. And to my knowledge, anyway, everyone did so relatively safely and provided the services that I think Yuba City citizens are accustomed to getting, which is excellent. Ms. Mantelli, I think that your comments earlier about homeless and Commander Runyon here, I think it's probably time to bring Troy back in, at a time when it's convenient for the PD, but also Imelda and others. I think what happens with the homeless situation is there's so much going on, and there are so many things that we are trying to do that sometimes they go unnoticed. And I'm certainly not sitting here in front of you tonight saying, hey, we got this thing handled, because frankly, we do not, okay? But it isn't for lack of trying or lack of effort. And there's a lot of folks doing a lot of good things. And as hard as it is to say, this could be a heck of a lot worse if it isn't for the efforts of folks like Imelda and members of our council on various homeless committees and our police force and others that are working within the city to try to do something. So if you're paying attention to agendas, and this is for anyone who's listening, if you see something on there about a homeless presentation, and this is an issue that is of top of mind to you, please consider to watch or show up, because I think you'll be amazed at the volume of things that are actually being done. And again, I'm not sitting here in front of you saying we got it, because certainly we do not, but we're certainly giving it our best effort. It was mentioned that the Sikh Parade is this weekend, and frankly, we don't know what the attendance is going to be. I know there's been a lot of preparation, and our city staff has been involved in the planning for that. But to the point about congestion and traffic, certainly would expect that will probably be in play coming up this weekend. So yes, pay attention to that. These are the things that I was particularly involved with over the last couple of weeks. We had the vice mayor, myself, the city manager, Supervisor Chairman Flores, and the county administrator sat in a presentation on something called the Blue Zones. And I don't think we really want to get into all of this yet. That'll be another presentation that we'll be bringing so that we can really give it its due. But this is an initiative advanced by Adventist Health, and to bring to our community a more holistic look at how we can be well. And it's not just economic development, and it's not just taking care of financial stuff. It's just how can we do things to make our community a better place to live and work and play? And fortunately, there's a lot of positive examples of how this has worked in other communities. So we're excited to get this kicked off, and we're looking forward to that and more to come on that with a presentation. Had the opportunity to participate in the graduation of the Mayor's Leadership Institute. Again, you've heard us talk about this. This was a staff effort predominantly. It has the mayor's tag on it, but it's really staff that presented the information to the folks that participated. The vice mayor and myself sat on the hot seat probably for about an hour, and I thought that it was good. There were some excellent questions presented, and I would encourage anybody that is interested in understanding a little bit more about what the city's all about to participate in that Mayor's Leadership Institute. And the next offering will be sometime this spring, so pay attention to that. I also did the business walk, and I had the opportunity to do that with Supervisor Carm Baines and Chairman of the Board, Dan Flores. And to the others who have mentioned that, it was enlightening. There's a lot of commonality to the themes and the things that our business owners are challenged with. And we've talked about them. And again, these are priorities. If you look at the council's priorities about quality of life and public safety, et cetera, these were reinforced as issues that are predominantly getting in the way of the businesses being able to do their business. And we need to do a better job, or as good a job as we possibly can, in addressing those. And I know that business walk information will be coming forward, but our business retention task force also has pieces of information. The key is execution on that stuff. It's not just ink on paper. Here's another report and here we go. We do need to execute, and I have very full confidence not only the staff will help with that, but we as a council will make sure that we make it a continuing priority. I think that's it. It seems very busy. You guys are doing a great job. I've got one more meeting as the mayor, so my time as the mayor is coming to a close. Actually, next meeting is my last full meeting, and then we have the ceremony in December. And so we will be shifting gears again, but knowing that this council is solid and works towards the best interest of the citizens of Yuba City, I imagine it'll be relatively seamless. But with that, we'll call this meeting closed.